Yes, here our viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. by studio clock. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. We begin right away with our major stories. 4 kids have died in Mamfe in the Manus division of the southwest region. The kids died after they were reportedly trapped in an abandoned vehicle. And also in this newscast, we will be telling you that as the scarcity of domestic gas persists in major cities across the national territory, users have resorted to using charcoal and sawdust. Charcoal and sawdust, which they say is still very expensive for consumers. We will be coming back to those stories and more in this edition of the news, so stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. We begin this newscast in the southwest region, precisely in Mamfe. On a rather sad note, 4 kids aged between 2 and 4 have died in the Manus division after they were reportedly trapped in an abandoned vehicle. The kids died from suffocation. Our reporter Martin Jikan Gabriel tells us more.
A frustrated mother after she found out about the death of her 2 kids. It is a black day for the inhabitants of Egbeko in Mamfe, Manus division of the southwest region. It was in an abandoned car that the lifeless bodies of Eno Destiny Efa, 3 years, Eno Helena Yamba, 5 years, Abang Maris Leso, 4 years, and Tambe Joffrey, 5 years, were discovered after they were declared missing.
One of the mother came.
Some parents came complaining that they have not seen their kids. We then organized a search and looked even at the walls around, but saw nothing until one of the mothers suddenly saw the children in a car, all dead.
But only for we for come over here, you see I'm seeing a corpse inside me.
It was during a search that the bodies were seen by one of the parents.
For that motor, I bagged the motor now. I looked down for 7 days.
I stood behind this car, waiting that they would inform me that they have seen the children. But suddenly, something touched me to look inside the car. Then I saw them, thinking they were alive. One of them was my late sister's child I took since he was still a kid.
Stay for school. One of my late sister became where I take her from small.
The 4 bodies that were later taken to the mortuary were checked by the doctor who suspects a homicide.
I go for mortuary.
I also went to the mortuary and saw 4 kids with foam coming out from their mouth and body peeled as if they were thrown chemical. I think it's a very bad act, and I tried to examine them, but I suspect some foul play.
I will try to examine them constantly, but there's a large suspicion of foul play.
For now, no conclusions have been drawn on the real cause of the demise of these kids, but only final investigations from the authorities will throw more light to this macabre incident.
And a 1-month-old baby who got missing in Banga in the Mongo division of the Littoral region has been found in a Diki. A Diki is a locality not far from Kumba in the southwest region of the country. And our reporter Mala Glory tells us that the child was found following investigations by security forces.
This young lady, Marie, finally finds happiness after almost 3 weeks of search. She sets her eyes on her baby, who was stolen on October 6, 2022 in a saloon in Banga, Mongo division of the Littoral region. Thanks to an investigations of the forces of law and order, the child was found in Ediki, a locality in the town of Kumba, southwest region. I really thank them so much. Thanks to their efforts, I've been able to have my baby back in Banga. The baby was found after a report on Equinoxe television on the missing child. Security officials began investigations which led to the discovery of the child in Ediki.
I thank Equinoxe very much.
I thank Equinoxe so much for all what they have done, which has made me to have my baby. Baby theft is recurrent in major cities in Cameroon. This baby, after spending weeks in strange hands, can now feel the warmness of her mother.
And now, as domestic gas scarcity persists in major cities across the national territory, users have resorted to using charcoal and sawdust, which are other alternatives. A reporter for Me, Armstrong Sandra, tells us in the report which comes up next that the users are complaining that charcoal and sawdust are still very expensive because of high demand.
This is what Douala City dwellers have resorted to in order to lessen the shock and pains created by the ongoing domestic cooking gas scarcity. Sawdust for some and charcoal for others, parents in Douala say the challenges are enormous.
Les femmes souffrent beaucoup pour préparer.
The scrambling has increased recently. Very soon you will see at least 30 women scrambling here over sawdust because of the inability to get domestic cooking gas. I abandoned my gas bottle and bought a stove, but fuel also became scarce. I had to settle for a charcoal pot, but it's not easy given the prices and quality sold in the market.
Le problème est que le charbon est trop cher. Il faut aussi avoir 100% de chance de trouver le charbon devant une personne que...
Difficulties which by extension has affected their socio-economic timetable and the education of their children.
Mais maintenant, on est obligé de que les enfants arrivent à l'école en retard.
Our children now go to school late because of the difficulties to warm their food in the morning. It is not easy to light up charcoal early in the morning.
Pour chauffer la nourriture, on ne doit pas allumer le feu de charbon, parce que ça va causer un retard.
In the Makepe Misoki market of the Douala 5 municipality, charcoal vendors and buyers say the commodity is expensive and fast becoming scarce. Suppliers have increased their prices and we, the retailers, are compelled to do same. The other problem is that the charcoal is even hard to find. I think that it is linked to the heavy rains that makes it difficult for trucks to access forested and charcoal production zones. In respect to fundamental economic principles, the high demand for charcoal and sawdust has provoked an increase in its prices. According to locals, these women in Douala City has been compounded with a sustained increase in the prices of vegetable oil, palm oil, kerosene and other basic amenities.
And now most of you must have noticed earlier today that WhatsApp was temporarily suspended, and several users have expressed dissatisfaction over that temporary suspension. Most of those who were negatively affected by the suspension of WhatsApp activities were commercial business persons, and our reporter Lucy Liengu spoke with some persons who were affected with the suspension of WhatsApp and now tells us more on their dissatisfaction.
Whenever WhatsApp crashes, it becomes a major problem around the world, given that it is the most popular app with 2 billion monthly active users globally. That is the case this Tuesday, with WhatsApp outages being reported by bloggers across the globe. However, information, computer and technology experts say there are reasons for the outages.
One of the problems that can be the cause of it might be, they might be updating the system. The database can be in due process of updating, and that's the reason why it causes a lot of problems to the users.
All those big computers you use, then call it server, have back of them the software and the hardware. And inside the software, it is the software we help to use internet, and sometimes you can get mistake with those things. When mistakes are Somebody will have a phone cannot use it better.
Remember, once an app start having a lot of traffic, the traffic that has been generated on the app. As a matter of fact, WhatsApp today is having more than 2 billion users worldwide. In Africa alone, we have more than 400 million users of WhatsApp.
Talking to some users of WhatsApp here in the city of Douala, they say they get very frustrated when the app stops functioning.
WhatsApp and too much important for me because I have connection with my family by WhatsApp. I do business, economic, and for example today around 8 o'clock I want to try to connection with my family, no connection in WhatsApp.
Information computer technologies advise people to make use of other apps which are similar to WhatsApp.
Of course, there are apps like Telegram, which is now becoming very popular. We also have Zikalo. They have a messaging app also called Mbutu. So people can actually, they do exactly the same thing WhatsApp is doing. You can go and download these apps as well. Zikalo, Mbutu, Telegram. You can also download app like Viber. The old Viber is still functioning. You have apps like WeChat that you can have as alternative solutions.
Many users of these apps are impatiently waiting to get reactions from WhatsApp managers concerning the recurrence of the outage. According to WhatsApp users, they fear the worst in the days coming ahead, considering that few months ago, WhatsApp experienced a shutdown.
And WhatsApp has been restored. Now we talk health. Poor waste disposal is a major problem in hospitals and other health facilities, and this has been the reason behind the come together of some health experts and also environmentalists in the city of Douala on better management of waste and waste disposal in hospitals. Let's have more with Immaculate Fogwe.
Healthcare wastes are considered the second most hazardous waste globally after radiation waste. Various forms of waste such as syringes, expired drugs, chemical waste and medical devices are mostly gotten from hospitals, laboratories, blood banks among others. Healthcare waste have devastating effects on human health if not properly handled. Mismanagement can result to various hospital-acquired infection and food contamination. Some of the waste are thrown in water, others on land. Imagine a child swimming in a stream and then he discovers a contaminated syringe and wants to experiment it. Do you know that that child is getting HIV and AIDS, hepatitis B and C, and other viral infections? We need to be very careful.
If you give water to somebody somewhere and you don't give him skills to hygiene, protect this water from the source to the house, it means that you don't give him all of what he needs. Because if you have water in the source and take it there to bring it at home, there is many things which can happen.
Cameroon's healthcare waste management has not been given much attention that it deserves. In order to improve proper handling of medical waste, environmentalists and health experts met in Douala to brainstorm on the situation. They equally created awareness on policies and legislation on handling medical waste, which needs to be respected by all.
And now in education, we take you to the west region of the country, precisely in the Upper Camp division, where the Plateau Nursery School is said to be in very dilapidated state. The kids are said to be studying in very uncomfortable atmosphere, which is making the parents feel frustrated. Smart Jikan Gabriel paints a picture of the Plateau Nursery School in the Upper Camp division of the west region.
From a distance, one will think this building, which is almost isolated from others, has been abandoned. Getting closer, you will notice that the roof has been taken off partially, and the zinc, which remains on the roof, having some holes, enables water to flood the building. when it rains. When it rains, the water gets into the classroom with the kids there, so we are forced to close earlier than scheduled. We are at the Plateau Nursery School in Banjok, in Upper Sanaga, Central Region of Cameroon. This is one of the major difficulties faced by these future leaders of tomorrow as they ascend the academic ladder because of the rains. Sometimes even parents are forced to join in the cleanup exercise, something which the parents are already getting tired. We are already tired. We paid the school for that, but whenever it's bad, the parents are called upon to do the cleaning. While in school, the kids will also have to move a long distance before getting to the restroom, which is not also in a good condition. The road that leads to the Plateau Nursery School is also in a horrible state. The infrastructure which is serving as classrooms for 2 levels could have been better if not for the last minute changes that left everyone speechless. We had our sight, and in 2021 we were told that we shall have a better building for the kids. When I got the news, I mobilized the parents, and only for me to wake up one day and hear that the building project has been moved to somewhere else. The authorities of the locality are now being called upon to find solutions that will make these kids have a conducive environment for the teaching and learning process in Banjok.
And about 2 years ago, the United Nations Office declared the Gulf of Guinea as one of the most dangerous maritime areas in the world. The threat has been persistent, and stakeholders in Cameroon have begun a 2-day meeting in Douala ahead of the first maritime conference of the CEMAC states. A reporter or staffman, Babila Jonathan, tells us more.
Maritime insecurity remains a major problem in the Gulf of Guinea. Countries of the Gulf of Guinea, Ghana, Liberia, Ivory Coast, Benin, Togo, Nigeria, Cameroon, Sao Tome and Principe, Equatorial Guinea and Gabon have been facing this problem for decades. Earlier this year, the United Nations Security Council expressed deep concern about the grave and persistent threat that piracy, armed robbery, and transnational organized crimes at sea in the Gulf of Guinea pose to international navigation, security, and sustainable development of states in the region. Hostage taking of seafarers, oil and cargo theft, illicit trafficking and diversion of arms, drug and human trafficking, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing have continued playing down on safety at sea, economic growth, and development of West and Central African states and neighboring countries. In the Central African sub-region, governments of member countries are fine-tuning strategies to step up the fight against the threat. Ahead of the first maritime conference of the Economic Community of Central African States, these public and private stakeholders in Cameroon are discussing how to protect and uphold the country's areas of interest. The stakeholders meeting in Douala are mapping out Cameroon's participation in the upcoming maritime conference. It is part of the sub-regional strategy adopted by Central African heads of state and governments in Kinshasa, October 2009, to protect vital sea resources of states.
And now we take you out of the country. First, in Uganda, where 11 people have been killed in a fire incident which occurred in a school for the blind in Uganda's capital, Kampala. And in Somalia, the Shabab intruded a hotel and killed at least 9 persons and injured about 40. Our reporter, Innocent Azenau, has updates of our foreign beat.
In Uganda, 11 people have lost their lives in a fire outbreak at a boarding school on the outskirts of the country's capital, Kampala. Children between the ages of 7 and 10 are reportedly among. 6 other people in critical condition have been hospitalized. The cause of the fire at Salama School for the Blind has not been established. The deceased persons were burnt beyond recognition, according to authorities, who added that they would only be identified through DNA investigations. The Salama School for the Blind, built in 1999, has dozens of students aged between 6 and 25. Elsewhere, at least 9 people and injuring 56. In charge, its leader, Mahamat Idris Deby, has condemned recent protests staged in the country, terming them insurrection with foreign aid, ignoring the over 50 deaths resulting from violent repression by security forces. Mahamat Idris Deby, in a televised speech on Monday, denounced the demonstrators and further warned the opposition against insurgency. According to him, the demonstrations were not simple, but a real carefully orchestrated insurgency to create chaos in the country. Mahamat Idris Deby spelled out that the external factors provided arms and money to opportunistic Chadians who have not hesitated for a moment to destroy Chad for their personal interest and foreign agendas. Chad's opposition had called for peaceful protests on Thursday to mark the date when the military had promised to hand over power in the unstable Sahel country. On the other hand, Deby called for national unity for the sake of peace in the country. He promised not to allow the nation divided and the unity mortgaged.
And thank you, Innocent, for that foreign page rounded there. And viewers, we thank you so much for always according us your time every 6 p.m. And don't go away, our programs continue as usual. The news in the French language comes up at exactly 8 p.m. with Julien Bet Bissai. And in about 30 minutes, Serge Alain Otto will be with you for your favorite program, Equinoxe Soir. Bye for now. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television.
Le nez et la bouche. 5. Évitez tout contact direct avec des